The sterile air of the Dr. Arjun Patel's laboratory was thick with tension as he leaned over a myriad of screens, their glow casting eerie shadows across the cluttered space. Papers filled with complex equations and sketches of alien technology littered the floor, evidence of countless sleepless nights spent in pursuit of understanding. The walls, lined with shelves of books on astrophysics and theoretical science, seemed to close in on him as he frantically analyzed a series of strange energy readings emanating from deep space. Come on, he muttered under his breath, tapping furiously at the keyboard. Each keystroke felt like a heartbeat, a countdown to the impending doom he sensed looming just beyond the stars. Just then, a shrill alert pierced the silence of the lab, pulling him from his frantic calculations. The screen flickered, and a news bulletin blared across the monitors, its urgency palpable. Breaking news, the Zarkarians have begun their invasion. Major cities around the globe are falling under attack. Authorities urge all citizens to evacuate immediately. Arjun's heart sank as he watched footage of chaos unfolding in real time. Buildings crumbled, people screamed, and the sky darkened with the ominous silhouettes of alien ships. No, this can't be happening, he whispered, his mind racing. He had suspected something was amiss, but seeing it unfold was a different kind of terror. He clenched his fists, determination igniting within him. There had to be something he could do. Meanwhile, in a fortified military bunker, Sofia Mendes stood at attention, her military uniform crisp and her demeanor steely. The air was charged with urgency as she received orders through her comms device. All units, prepare for immediate mobilization. The Zarkarians are attacking key locations. I repeat, we need to defend our cities now. Sophia's mind raced back to her last mission, how she had led a squad into a seemingly routine operation, only for it to turn into a bloodbath. The faces of her fallen comrades haunted her, laughter now replaced by the echoes of gunfire and chaos. The memory fueled her resolve. Ma'am, are we really ready for this? A young soldier asked, his voice trembling slightly. Sophia turned to him, her expression unwavering. We don't have a choice. We fight or we lose everything, she replied, her voice firm. I won't let their sacrifice be in vain. Let's move out. As they prepared to leave, anxiety buzzed in the bunker-like static. But beneath it all, there was a steely determination. Sophia would protect humanity at all costs. In a rundown apartment on the outskirts of the chaos, Ezequiel Torres sat in the shadows, illuminated only by the glow of his laptop. The room was a stark contrast to the chaos outside, cluttered with remnants of a life once lived, now reduced to a series of screens and tech devices. He was a ghost of his former self, haunted by the mistakes of his past. Today, he was focused. Let's see what you're hiding, he muttered, fingers dancing over the keyboard as he hacked into government communications. He bypassed firewalls and encrypted files, his heart racing with each successful breach. Suddenly, a stream of classified intel flooded his screen, revealing information about the Zarkarians, their technology, their strategies, their weaknesses. Ezequiel sat back, a chill running down his spine. This was bigger than he had anticipated. He had spent years avoiding conflict, but now it was thrust upon him once more. Damn it, he cursed softly. He could no longer ignore the truth. He had to join the fight. As he gathered his resolve, memories of his troubled past surfaced, but he pushed them aside. This was his chance for redemption, a chance to fight for something greater than himself. With a deep breath, he steeled himself for what was to come. The world outside was spiraling into chaos, and the three of them, Arjun, Sofia, and Ezekiel, were on a collision course with destiny. Each was driven by their own past, their own demons, united by a singular goal to defend humanity against the Zarkarian threat. Little did they know, the choices they would have to make could cost them not only their lives, but their very humanity. The dimly lit underground bunker pulsed with an air of urgency as Dr. Arjun Patel, Sofia Mendes, and Ezequiel Torres gathered at a makeshift table strewn with holographic displays of the Zarkarian mothership. The distant rumble of explosions echoed above, a constant reminder of the chaos enveloping the world outside. Dr. Patel, his brow furrowed in concentration, tapped furiously on a tablet, bringing up schematics of the alien vessel. "Look here," he said, pointing to a cluster of data points on the screen. "This is the structure of their defense systems. If we can get past this layer," he indicated a series of flashing red markers, "we might have a chance to disable their weaponry." Sofia leaned closer, her military instincts kicking in. "We need to strike fast and hard. We don't have the luxury of time. Every second we waste, more lives are lost." Her voice was steady, but a flicker of worry betrayed her steely exterior. Ezekiel, his fingers fidgeting with a frayed cord on his hoodie, finally broke his silence. "What if we can't disable the defenses? What if we end up making things worse? We're talking about a full-scale invasion here, and we might not even know what we're facing inside that ship. That's why we need to act." Sofia interjected, her tone sharper. "We can't let fear dictate our actions. We have to trust in our skills together. We're stronger." Dr. Patel nodded but hesitated. "It's not just about winning, Sofia. If we're not careful, we could lose ourselves in the process. The Zarkarians don't just take lives, they strip away what makes us human. We need to consider the cost of our actions." Ezekiel met Dr. Patel's gaze, his own eyes haunted by past decisions. "And what if the cost is our humanity? I've seen what happens when you play with technology that's beyond your understanding. I don't want to end up like them, cold, calculating, devoid of emotion." Sofia's jaw clenched, her frustration bubbling to the surface. What's the alternative?" "We sit back and watch as they destroy everything we hold dear. We have to fight. We owe it to those who can't fight for themselves." As the tension thickened, the room was suddenly interrupted by a crackling static from Ezekiel's portable device. He quickly flicked a switch, tuning into frantic voices. "Wait, I'm getting a distress signal," he said, his eyes widening in panic. "It's from the city nearby. There's an attack underway." Dr. Patel's heart sank. He can't ignore it. People are in danger. He glanced at Sofia, who was already moving, her instincts kicking into overdrive. "We need to make a decision," she said, her voice sharp. "Do we stick to our plan and risk losing everything? Or do we divert our resources to save those people?" Ezekiel clenched his fists, torn between the urgent need for action and the strategic necessity of their original mission. "We can't let our emotions cloud our judgment. Those lives are at stake. If we don't go now, we may not get another chance." Sofia's steely resolve softened as she thought of the innocents caught in the crossfire. "We have to go. If we can save even a handful of lives, it'll be worth it. I can't just stand by while people suffer." Dr. Patel nodded slowly, the weight of the decision heavy on his shoulders. "All right, we'll help them. We need to be quick. Once we engage, we must remain focused. We can't afford to be sidetracked." As they prepared to leave, the trio shared a moment of silent understanding. Each carried their own burdens, their pasts entwined with regrets and choices that could not be undone. But in that moment, we were united by a common goal of fierce determination to protect what little humanity remained. Ezekiel slung his backpack over one shoulder, his expression resolute. Let's move, then. We'll save as many as we can, and then we'll regroup and hit the mothership. Sofia grinned, a rare flicker of hope lighting her eyes. Together, we can do this. Let's show those Zarkarians what we're made of. With a final glance at the holographic displays, Dr. Patel led the way out of the bunker, stepping into the chaos of a world teetering on the brink of annihilation. They were more than just individuals fighting an alien threat. They were a team bound by the hope of saving humanity, even if it meant sacrificing their own. The air was thick with tension as the team stood at the edge of the chaos unfolding in the city. Fire and smoke billowed into the sky, and the sounds of destruction echoed around them. Sofia Mendes clenched her fists, her heart racing with the instinctive drive of a seasoned soldier. We can't just stand here. We need to get in there and help, she urged, adrenaline coursing through her veins. Dr. Arjun Patel adjusted his glasses, his mind racing with calculations and strategies. But we have a plan. If we leave now, we risk losing our chance to get inside the mothership. The Zarkarians won't wait for us to finish playing heroes, he argued, his voice steady but laced with urgency. Ezequiel Torres, perched on a nearby building, was already tapping away at his handheld device, trying to hack into the alien drones that flew overhead. We can do both. I can disable their drones while you go in and rescue anyone trapped. Just give me a minute. His eyes flickered between the screen and the chaos below, determination etched on his face. Sofia, sensing the weight of the moment, stepped closer to Arjun, her voice lowered. Look, Doc, we can't ignore the fact that people are in danger right now. If we don't act, how can we say we're fighting for humanity? That's not just a mission. It's about saving lives. We have to balance both. Dr. Patel felt the conflict within him. He wanted to save the world, but could they really afford to delay their main objective? He took a deep breath, looking out at the devastation. The cries for help rang in his ears. All right, he finally conceded, but we need to be quick. Ezequiel, can you really disable those drones efficiently? Just watch me. Ezequiel grinned, fingers flying across the screen as he bypassed security protocols. I've got this. The drones, initially buzzing aggressively, began to lose stability and crashed to the ground in sparks and flames. He turned to Sofia and Arjun, his expression tinged with excitement. Go! I've got your back. With a nod from Dr. Patel, Sofia sprang into action, leading the way toward the nearest building that had partially collapsed. The flames danced around her as she maneuvered through the debris with a soldier's grace. Keep it tight. We'll need to watch each other's backs, she shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. As they entered the rubble, the scent of smoke and despair filled their lungs. Dr. Patel's heart raced as he spotted movement beneath a fallen beam. Over here, he called out, rushing toward the sound. Beneath the debris lay a young girl, no older than 8, her eyes wide with fear. It's okay. We're here to help you, he reassured her, his voice softening as he knelt beside her. Please, I can't move, she whimpered, tears streaming down her dirt-smudged face. Hold on, Arjun instructed, glancing back at Sofia. You need to lift this beam. On 3, 1, 2, 3. They heaved together, muscles straining, and finally managed to lift the beam just enough to free the child. She scrambled out, and Dr. Patel pulled her close, feeling the weight of her fragility. Thank you. Thank you, she cried, burying her face in his lab coat. Just keep close. We'll get you to safety, he promised, his heart swelling with determination. The stakes had never felt more real. For the first time, he truly understood what they were fighting for. This girl was the embodiment of humanity's hope. As they emerged from the rubble, Sophia's instincts kicked in. We have to go. More Zarkarian forces are coming this way. She scanned the area, spotting a group of survivors huddled together in a nearby alley. There, we can get them out. Wait! Ezekiel's voice rang out over the comms, urgency lacing his tone. I'm detecting multiple Zarkarian units approaching from the east. You need to hurry. Sophia nodded, leading the way as Arjun held the girl tightly. They approached the survivors, who looked at them with a mix of hope and fear. We're here to help. Stay close and follow us, Sophia urged, her military training kicking in as she took charge. As they made their way through the wreckage, the group suddenly came under fire from Zarkarian drones regrouping in the area. Get down, Sophia shouted, instinctively pushing the girl behind her. Ezekiel worked quickly, fingers dancing across his device as he hacked into the drone systems once again. Just a little longer. Got it, he yelled triumphantly as the drone suddenly malfunctioned, spinning out of control and crashing to the ground. With a newfound confidence, they pressed on, and the survivors, buoyed by their hope, began to move faster. Finally, it reached a safer area, the sounds of destruction fading into the distance. Arjun glanced back, his heart pounding. It had saved lives today, but at what cost? The battle was far from over, and the weight of their choices began to settle heavily on him. As they regrouped, a trembling survivor stepped forward, breathing heavily. You don't understand, he gasped. They have a weakness. We've learned something about them. Urgency in his voice signaled that they had stumbled upon critical intel, a glimmer of hope amid the chaos. What do you mean? Sophia asked, her eyes narrowing in focus. They can be disrupted by certain frequencies. We've seen it work. It might take some time, if you can get the right technology. His voice trailed off, and they exchanged glances filled with a mix of hope and dread. Arjun felt a rush of determination. This was the information they needed. It came with a heavy burden. What would they have to sacrifice to exploit this weakness? The shadows of their impending choices loomed large as they prepared for the next phase of their fight, each of them grappling with the knowledge that their humanity might just be the ultimate price they'd have to pay. The metallic corridors of the Zarkarian mothership loomed around Dr. Arjun Patel, Sofia Mendes, and Ezequiel Torres as they stealthily navigated the alien architecture. The walls pulsated with an eerie glow, casting unsettling shadows that flickered like the remnants of a dying star. The air was thick with a synthetic hum that reverberated through their bones, a constant reminder of the overwhelming presence of the Zarkarian invaders. Stay close, Sophia whispered, her voice barely audible over the mechanical thrum. Her eyes scanned the surroundings, alert for any signs of movement. The memories of her last battle echoed in her mind, fueling her determination. We can't afford to be seen, Ezekiel nodded, his fingers twitching nervously at his sides. I'm working on a way to tap into their systems. If I can get a read on their mainframe, we might find something useful, something that can turn the tide. His voice was laced with a mix of excitement and dread, knowing that their mission was fraught with danger. Dr. Patel, trailing just behind, felt a cold sweat trickle down his back. He had always been more comfortable in laboratories than in the heart of an enemy's lair. Just remember, he said, his voice steadier than he felt, we need to find out what they're planning. We can't let their intentions remain a mystery. As they continued deeper into the mothership, they stumbled upon a massive chamber filled with strange devices that glowed with an otherworldly light. In the center, a large crystal pulsed rhythmically, surrounded by machinery that seemed to be siphoning energy from it. Dr. Patel's heart raced as he realized the implications of what they were witnessing. "What is this place?" Sofia asked, her eyes wide with a mix of awe and horror. "It looks like some sort of parkour. I think it is," Dr. Patel replied, stepping closer to the crystal. It's not just a power source. It's feeding off emotions." He shuddered as the realization hit him. They're harvesting human emotions to fuel their technology. Ezekiel's face went pale. "You mean they've been watching us? Feeding off our fears, our pain?" He struggled to grasp the enormity of their situation. "That's why they're so powerful. They're not just fighting us. They're consuming us." Before they could delve deeper into their discovery, a chamber filled with blaring alarms. A Zarkarian commander appeared, his tall, imposing figure silhouetted against the pulsating lights. His skin shimmered like liquid metal, and his eyes glowed with a predatory intensity. "Humans," he boomed, his voice echoing through the chamber. "You are brave to infiltrate our stronghold. Your efforts are futile. We have observed your species for centuries, waiting for the moment to strike. Join us, and you will be spared. Resist and face annihilation." Sofia stepped forward, her military training kicking in. "We will never join you. You think you can just take what you want from us? We will fight." Her fists clenched, ready to battle, but Dr. Patel placed a hand on her shoulder, urging her to remain calm. "Wait," Ezekiel interjected, a glimmer of defiance in his eyes. "You think you understand our pain? You think you can control us? You're wrong." His voice was steady, fueled by a mix of anger and determination. "We've been through hell, and we're still standing. You don't know what humanity is capable of." The commander's expression twisted into a sneer. "Your resistance is amusing, but ultimately pointless. You will either submit or perish. The choice is yours." As the tension in the room escalated, the team exchanged glances, silently weighing their options. Ezekiel's mind raced, searching for a way to turn the situation to their advantage. "If I can tap into their systems, I might be able to disrupt their power source," he whispered urgently to Sofia and Dr. Patel, who nodded, understanding the risk they were about to take. Suddenly, the room shook with a violent tremor, and the lights flickered ominously. "We have to go now," Sofia shouted, her instincts kicking in. "We can't let them capture us." Ezekiel moved quickly, his fingers flying over the small device he had brought with him. "I just need a few more seconds. If I can get this to work, we can create a diversion." Just as Ezekiel completed the sequence, the commander lunged forward, his alien form moving with blinding speed. "Foolish humans," he roared, but Ezekiel pressed a button, triggering an overload in the machinery surrounding the crystal. The chamber erupted in chaos as sparks flew and alarms blared. "Go now!" Ezekiel yelled, pushing Sofia and Dr. Patel toward the exit. They sprinted through the corridors, adrenaline pumping through their veins, but not without sustaining injuries along the way. As they raced towards what they hoped was an escape route, the echoes of the commander's voice haunted them. They had escaped. The chilling reality of what they had uncovered weighed heavily on their minds. What kind of fight had they truly signed up for? In a dimly lit safe house, the atmosphere was thick with unease as the trio gathered around a flickering screen, only source of light in the otherwise shadowy room. Dr. Arjun Patel, with his brow furrowed in concentration, outlined his plan. We can't just sit around waiting for the Zarkarians to strike again. We have to turn their technology against them. Ezequiel, your skills are crucial. We need you to access their mainframe and create a backdoor. Ezequiel Torres leaned back in his chair, arms crossed tightly over his chest. His dark eyes flickered with anxiety. And what makes you think I can do that? I've been running from my past this whole time. If I screw this up, we could end up dead. Sofia Mendes, who had been silently observing the tension between her comrades, interjected. We don't have the luxury of doubt right now. We either act or we perish. You've seen what they're capable of. They're not just invaders, they're hunters. If we don't fight back, we'll be slaughtered. Dr. Patel nodded in agreement, his voice steady. Sophia's right. Ezequiel, you've already shown us what you're capable of, and we need to harness that. Your skills could give us the edge we need to turn this tide. This is your chance to prove to yourself that you're more than just your past mistakes. Ezequiel's shoulders slumped slightly as he processed the weight of their expectations. And what if I can't? What if they catch me? What if, enough with the what ifs, Sofia snapped, her eyes blazing with determination. We're all risking everything here. I can't lose another team member. I won't. You need to trust yourself. We're in this together. The room fell silent, the tension palpable as Ezequiel stared at Sofia, searching for any hint of insincerity. Instead, he found nothing but fierce resolve. Okay, he finally said, reluctantly uncrossing his arms. I'll do it. But if this goes south, you both have to promise me that you'll get out. Don't stick around to save me. I'm not worth it. Doctor, Patel shook his head firmly. We're not leaving anyone behind. The three of us are in this together. Remember that. As they prepared for their final assault, atmosphere shifted. Despite their resolve, there was an undercurrent of fear that danced in the air. Sofia and Ezequiel exchanged glances that betrayed an unspoken tension, filled with insecurities that threatened to unravel their focus. Look, Sofia said, her voice softer, I know you've been through a lot, Ezequiel, but this isn't just about you anymore. It's about all of us. You need to put that fear aside. We can't afford to doubt each other. Ezequiel ran a hand through his tousled hair, frustration etched on his face. I get that. What if I let you down? What if I can't pull it off? I've always been a lone wolf, and I'm not sure I can change that. Then you need to trust us. Sofia replied, her tone firm yet compassionate. We're a team. I know it's hard, but leaning on each other is our best chance of survival. We can't do this alone. Dr. Patel cleared his throat, stepping in to diffuse the tension. We've faced impossible odds before, and we've come through. Trust in the skills we each bring to the table. Ezequiel, your hacking is our best shot, and Sofia's combat experience will keep us safe while we execute this plan. With a deep breath, Ezequiel nodded, a flicker of determination igniting within him. All right, I'll do it. I won't let fear control me anymore. The trio set to work, their minds focused on the task ahead. They meticulously reviewed the schematics for the Zarkarian mothership, each intricate detail essential to their plan. As they strategized, an electric anticipation filled the air. They could almost taste the impending confrontation. As they prepared to infiltrate the mothership, a sense of urgency buzzed among them. Dr. Patel adjusted his glasses, glancing at the clock. Time is running out. We need to move now before they can anticipate our next move. With one last look exchanged, the team steeled themselves for the battle ahead, unaware that the very trust they had built was about to be shattered. As they launched their final attack on the mothership, The weight of their choices bore down on them. They had come together to fight a common enemy. Unbeknownst to them, betrayal was lurking in the shadows, ready to unravel everything they fought for. The air inside the Zarkarian mothership was thick with tension and the acrid scent of burning metal. Alarms blared, drowning out the frantic footsteps of Dr. Arjun Patel, Sofia Mendes, and Ezequiel Torres as they raced through the dimly lit corridors. The walls pulsed with an eerie luminescence, a constant reminder that time was running out. "Arjun, how much longer?" Sofia shouted, her voice barely audible over the cacophony. She glanced over her shoulder, heart racing as the distant sounds of Zarkarian soldiers closing in echoed ominously. "Just a few more seconds, Dr. Patel replied, his fingers flying across the control panel. "I need to override the self-destruct sequence and override." "Are you sure that's wise?" Ezequiel interjected, his brow furrowed with concern. "We're in their ship. They could have countermeasures in place." "Doctor." Patel's eyes darted between the screen and his companions. "You don't have a choice. If we don't destroy this ship, countless lives will be lost. We can't let them harvest human emotions." Sofia felt a surge of urgency. "Then do it. Arjun, activate it now." As if in response, a nearby blast sent the trio stumbling. They barely regained their footing when the lights flickered, the ship's stability wavering under the mounting pressure of their actions. With a final keystroke, the screen flashed red. Self-destruct sequence activated. 10 minutes to detonation. "Let's go!" Ezequiel urged, sprinting down the corridor with Sofia and Dr. Patel close behind. The oppressive atmosphere was quickly turning chaotic, with Zarkarians appearing at every turn, alien forms silhouetted against the flashing lights. Suddenly, Ezequiel halted, his eyes narrowing as he turned back to his friends. "Go on without me," he said, his voice steady but edged with urgency. "I'll hold them off. Are you insane? We're not leaving you." "Dr. Patel shouted, panic creeping into his voice. "There's no time. If I don't stop them here, they'll follow you." "You know what's at stake," Ezequiel insisted, his jaw set with determination. Sofia stepped forward, desperation clawing at her throat. "Ezequiel, we can find another way. We're a team. We fight together." He shook his head, a sad smile breaking through the tension. "You both have to survive. This is my chance to make amends for everything I've done. Let me do this." Dr. Patel's heart sank at the weight of Ezequiel's words, the unspoken pain of past mistakes hanging in the air. "Ezequiel, please go," he shouted, his voice cutting through their grief. "I won't let this sacrifice be in vain. I'll make sure you make it out." With a heavy heart, Sofia grabbed Arjun's arm, pulling him back. "We have to go, now." As they turned to flee, Ezequiel positioned himself against the wall, his back straight, ready to face the approaching forces. "I'll always have your backs," he called out, his eyes resolute. "You to finish this fight. For all of us." Dr. Patel felt tears prick at his eyes, but he couldn't falter. They had no time for grief. They had to honor Ezequiel's choice by surviving. "We will, Ezequiel, we promise." With one last look, they sprinted down the corridor, sounds of battle fading behind them. Each step felt heavier as the weight of their loss settled upon them. Yet they pressed on, knowing what was at stake. As they reached the escape pod bay, the countdown echoed in their minds, a grim reminder of the cost of their mission. They barely made it inside, just as the first of the Zarkarian soldiers rounded the corner. The hatch sealed with a hiss, and Dr. Patel activated the launch sequence. The pod shot away from the mothership just as a deafening explosion rocked the ship behind them. The shockwave pushed them forward, and Sofia collapsed back against the seat, gasping for breath. "We did it, but at what cost?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "Doctor." Patel stared blankly ahead, the reality of Ezequiel's sacrifice crashing over him like a wave. "He gave us a chance," he murmured, fighting back tears. "We have to make it count." As the pod descended through the atmosphere, the remnants of the Zarkarian mothership burned brightly against the darkened sky, a haunting beacon of their victory and loss. But as they broke through the clouds and saw the battered Earth below, a chilling realization gripped them both. "We've won, but they're still out there," Sofia said, her voice barely above a whisper. "They'll come back." "Doctor," Patel nodded slowly, the weight of the truth settling heavily in his chest. "And we'll be ready." For Ezequiel, the pod landed with a soft thud, and as they emerged, the world around them was eerily quiet. The fight was far from over, and neither of them could shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a much darker struggle. The shadows of the past loomed large, and the specter of the Zarkarians was now a haunting reminder that peace was a fleeting illusion.